We are going to go over a whole lot, including the split of the most rich couple in the world, and, of course, China and Russia and Australian generals saying we are already at conflict, which, again, most of you guys already know. We'll be right back right after this.
I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love.
Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right. What is going on, guys? My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, of course, you can follow along on a second device. We have taken the time before every single show to make a bibliography of all of our sources, so you know exactly where the information is coming from. We try to use authoritative sources, independent sources, and sources from outside of my country, which would be the U.S. Again, you can go to the website. It's very easy to navigate. Just look for tonight's thumbnail. Everything happening. And then, of course, May 4th update, you'll see that you'll just click this and boom, you can go right in and see every single link, tweet, video, document that we share here today will all be there. If you would like to support in any way, all of our sponsors are over there, and of course our PayPal and everything else if you want to go a little bit further and support us financially. Again, you can also use our Amazon link, which doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps us again, keep the lights on. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Let's introduce Dex. Dex is my co-host / internet brother. What is going on, Dex? How are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, first off, remember, we just updated this system. You can go to marfooglenews.com to get our notifications, our push notifications, and our email alerts. We've got really good alerts coming out very soon, so make sure to sign up for that as soon as possible. All right, let's get into the first piece of news here. It says, surprising tsunami triggers may lurk off of California coasts, scientists say. I, of course, follow this very closely because I am on the West Coast, and we're expecting the Cascadia subduction zone and or, of course, the big quake in California. It says, although California's most dangerous tsunamis come from thousands of miles away, scientists say that they've pinpointed a wave trigger that's much closer to home. Earthquakes along strike-slip faults can cause potentially dangerous waves in certain contexts. A new model shows, and such faults do exist right off of parts of the Golden State's shores. If confirmed, the findings described in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences could affect, of course, future local tsunami risk assessments for coastlines along California and beyond. So, as a local here in Washington, we actually just changed all of our tsunami maps and how fast we would have to run away. They changed the time that it would have to get to us. They have some new information that they say where we are inland, because there's a lot of little things, little kind of inlets that protect us here in Seattle. It says that it will actually, inundate us. In fact, they updated a lot of things. Previous areas where we thought we would only be hit by the earthquake, now we will be hit with the tsunami, and it will come ashore, but it will take a longer time to do so. In some areas, as long as 2 hours after the major earthquake, which, if you think about it, if you go through a 5-minute long 9-point plus earthquake, it might take you 2 hours just to get your bearings, honestly, especially if you're anywhere in downtown Seattle, where, again, we have all of those brick buildings that are not retrofitted for any of this. They're going to be crumbling. They might just barely get the kind of rescue relief effort started by the time that the wave comes. So very, very horrible stuff there. And it says that tsunamis can be caused by a variety of events, including landslides, volcanic activity, and most commonly, earthquakes. But not every earthquake can trigger a rogue wave. Quakes along underwater thrust vaults, in which one side gets pushed up higher than the other, are thought to be the main culprit because of the vertical motion that can induce a wave in the water above. So a thrust fault is where there is, of course, so Cascadia, for instance, there's the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca, and it's basically jammed. And right now, I believe that they believe it is now stuck, and all of the pressure is building. Once it goes, it's going to snap, and all of the water that's on top of that is just going to go whoosh, and then send both ways towards Japan, towards Hawaii, and then, of course, towards the Washington, Oregon, Canada, and California coastline. They're basically saying that there is more than they even know about. Now, if you remember back in 2011 when Japan had their 9+ earthquake and, of course, their huge tsunami that's burned into everybody's brains, that looked like out of a movie. That looked like out of a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. That was real, and that was real unexpected. In fact, they built all of their buildings to the standard of an 8.6 or less because they never thought a 9+ earthquake was even capable of happening there in Japan. That was a surprise to them. So what they're saying is basic, and what I think is a little bit strange here is that there, of course, are adversaries that say that they have new weapons and new weapon technology that can actually cause a tsunami. So they're telling us, there might be a just kind of a surprising tsunami, a surprise tsunami out of nowhere, and there's a lot more that we just found out about. Yet they just also threatened us with this tsunami 300-foot wave causing weapon. So who knows? Don't know. Thought that was an interesting little thing there. Quakes along strike slip faults like the San Andreas, in which two plates slide past one another, weren't thought to cause tsunamis on their own because they largely have a horizontal motion. That's why the 2018 Salawesi earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia raised geologist eyebrows. On September 28th of that year, a wave estimated to be 13 to 23 feet in height struck the provincial capital of Palu following a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that occurred along a strike-slip fault. Together, the two events killed thousands. It says scientists surprised at the power of the wave suggested that it perhaps caused landslides with vertical motion that was able to trigger the wave. It says, quote, "We didn't think so," said Aries Rosekis, an engineer specializing in solid mechanics and the study's corresponding author. The blame, he suspected, lay with the fault alone. The unzipping of the bottom of the ocean in the Palu area would be enough to explain the creation of this tsunami. So they have a motion that's like this instead of like this, but yet it was still able to cause that kind of damage. So obviously we do not know everything, and science is changing every single day. And yes, there are still some people that believe in science. Again, there are some things that are proven with multi-level things, one of which is some of the science that is revolving around plate tectonics now. We didn't know any of this 20 years. It was almost like 50 years or 100 years ago, it was almost like we were in Galileo ages. In the 1900s, we were in Galileo ages as far as plate tectonics. We didn't know anything about it. Now they know, and they have proof. You're able to actually look at the research and look at the proof behind it, that these things are rapidly changing, and our world is changing. And that might be a natural thing. You can say whatever is causing it. It could be something astrological, like a planet going by. Who knows? But one thing that we do know is that we are going to be surprised with some big event. On top of all the other things that we worry about, that's why I say that everybody should stop worrying about things that possibly could happen. Prepare for them, mentally know that they can happen, and really, get used to the fact that we are humans. We are going to pass away at some point. There is no reason to be afraid of any of this. You can't live in fear your whole life. You've just got to get used to it, and you got to prepare, because there are so many miracles that have happened in the past of people being prepared, floating out of a tsunami on a little rowboat because they thought to put one right by their business, or, little stories like that have come out of Japan. So make sure to just prepare for anything, especially if you're on the West Coast. We have multiple kind of threats here, just like the East Coast has hurricanes and everything else. This is just something that comes along with living on the West Coast. By the way, the number is open today. You can call in at 224-400-MARF. That number is going to be scrolling down below. Make sure to call in as soon as possible. That is 224-400-6273. I want to thank right away Earth Observer. Says spring is here. Time to throw seeds, not stones. I love it. Bling Old Grammy says, thank you for this show. Hey, nice to see you. Hippie Girl. Hey, guys, what a strange world we are in. And then Toadman, Scooby-Doo Do Right, Truth Wins. Lisa K23, hello, and nice to have you here tonight. And then, of course, we have Fairy Spirit is joining us tonight. It's nice to see you here. That is an awesome thumbnail. Yes, I took that image and put that there. I think this is relatively true, though. They are already talking about how they're going to split their money. But one thing that is going to come out of that, and we'll talk about that later, is the fact that through a divorce, some things have to be publicized. Or, who knows, they very well could do some things to make it secretive. But it also takes land away from him. They might be splitting up this gigantic chunk, I think they have to, of the farmland that he just purchased. So we're gonna have two rulers here. And remember what they are planning to do with this farmland. It's not going to be cows. It's going to be synthetic creatures, I think. And then, of course, we have Yellowstone volcano hit by 43 earthquakes amid fears supervolcano is overdue an eruption. It says that geologists behind the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, or the YVO, have compiled their monthly activity update for the Yellowstone volcano in the western United States. A total of 43 earthquakes rocked the volcano last month, and the tremors were accompanied by 3 eruptions of the world-famous Steamboat Geyser. We actually covered that over the last 2 years about some of the weird eruptions there, some of the weird closures. If you followed my show, they actually closed, and this isn't CV related. This isn't something related to this current event. This was before. Dex, do you remember some of the kind of weird things that happened with Yellowstone? They had lava flowing out, and then on a side note, they said it was unrelated. They closed whole areas because of bears, because a bear was seen by somebody or something like that. Do you remember all of that, Dex? I think you were just starting with me.
Yeah, they had, I believe I remember what you're talking about, because I remember them closing off certain areas, and there was certain issues, and I think we weren't sure what they were doing with the geysers or the testing or whatnot that could be happening in the ground there.
And at the same time, there was issues with GPS. So they were doing, they went dark. They went kind of radio dark in parts of the state. It was just super weird. Oh, and then at that same time, we found out that Washington was doing not doubling, not tripling, not quadrupling, but quintupling their park usage for nighttime training, the Navy SEAL training and things like this here in the Northwest. Right around that same exact time that story came out is when they closed down areas for weird reasons. It was really, really odd. If you remember, put a 1 in the chat. It says a total of 43 earthquakes rocked the volcano last month, and the tremors were accompanied by the 3 eruptions, although the activity is below par for Yellowstone's monthly output. Many people fear Yellowstone is due to pop without notice. The volcano's biggest eruptions went off for some 640,000, 1.3 and 2 million years ago, leading people to wrongly believe Yellowstone erupts like clockwork. Scientists, of course, and volcanologists, not to be confused with volcanologists, I think that's a Spock, do their best to quash this claim, but social media is still rife with unfounded conspiracies and doomsday claims. One person tweeted, "The supervolcano in Yellowstone will erupt before we get a comeback." Another person said, "Man, I remember watching a movie in 7th grade class about Yellowstone and how it's bound to erupt any year now and just decimate the planet. I'm waiting, ma'am." What do you think about Yellowstone? One thing that we don't so far, at least civilians, we don't know of any technology that will predict it. they do have a plan. If you remember, we covered that NASA brought in some of the smartest minds in the world, or that's what they said, and think tanks from all over the world to try to have a plan to stop it from erupting. If you don't remember this, this is a real thing where they said that they would drill down into Yellowstone and put cold water, and then they even went a step further. They said, well, they'll put that cold water in and hot air out, or hot water out. They even said, hey, while we're at it, we could actually make money off of this and possibly make the most powerful power plant in the world. What it would do is it would take that water that comes out of it and then use that as a hydro plant. Others said that that could end our world. They said if you mess up, or you drill the wrong spot, or if you go too deep, or if you screw up, or if it doesn't work, then it's actually going to trigger it early. We actually don't know what the heck they're doing right now. They have all of these weird closures and all of these weird things that basically say that they are planning on trying to stop this thing. Why would they be trying to stop it if, it may be another 500,000 years? Do they have evidence that we do not know about? Do they have technology, or do they have data that says otherwise? Would it explain some of the weird things, some of the weird leaving of CEOs, the great exodus of 2019 and 2020? How all of these, 25-year-old CEOs with a bright, promising future are leaving and not going to any other companies. If you don't know about the CEO exodus, it looks like they're basically saying, I want to spend my last couple of years at home. It is very weird, and once you look into it, you'll say, yeah, that is weird. What do you think? Is Yellowstone a big worry in your head? Probably not. But the most unexpected things are obviously the things that catch us off guard the most. And then, of course, weird photo of the Carters with the Bidens create a major buzz online. Okay, so I did want to go just a short little piece on this because when I first saw it, it really did bug me. I don't know if you've seen this photo yet, but it basically shows JB and his wife with the Carters, the former President Carter and his wife, and it looks like an optical illusion. Once you see the picture, you'll understand exactly what I am saying. But I have my theory, and I'm sure somebody has already pointed this out. Who shot these is actually, of course, if you're shooting any president, you're most likely picked because you are somewhat of a professional. They didn't just pick you out of a, out of a, what do you call it? Out of the phone book. So let me show you the picture. It's actually right here. If this will load for us. And once you see it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. This is a tweet, if we can find this here, from the Carter Center. So the more you look at it, I'm going to full screen this so you can see, it looks like JB is a giant, and that chair is so tiny, and the woman is sitting there. And, of course, his wife is just massive compared to Mr. Carter. But when you actually click on the whole picture, one thing that I have noticed, and this is my theory on this, again, this is a real photo. Everybody has confirmed it. Snopes has confirmed it. It makes her look like just a tiny place, like this is a dollhouse. But one thing I want you to notice is they must have grabbed a real estate photographer or somebody that had a really big history in this. And this is my theory. They're using a wide angle lens, and then a wide angle lens, of course, distorts lines. And any really, really high end, high profile photographer is going to straighten their lines. In fact, here's kind of an example of what it looks like in Photoshop. If I take a photo of a room, I'm going to end up using these lines to try to straighten the walls. As you can see, there's little gaps here. This is how a picture with a wide angle lens ends up turning out without fixing it. Now, what you can do is you can kind of drag the middle out to try to fix this kind of distortion. And what happens is by the end of it, the middle is compacted in and the outsides are stretched out because you're stretching it towards to straighten the lines. If you look at every single one of these pictures, they're all perfectly straight. And this is an angled shot with, of course, the wife's chair smaller than with the husband's. And then, of course, you've got her and him on both sides. How the lens work is it goes like this. So both of them look larger. I mean, look at it. Even their chairs look like they're different sizes. It's really weird. The longer you look at it, the more that it weirds you out, especially if you're looking at it on a phone. It looks like JB is doing a ventriloquist job here. Like she's a puppet. Which, if anything, it would be the reverse. But again, look at this and then look at the straight lines. Every single one of them is straight. And then when you go over here, you can see the wall is curved in. So I bet you that they meant to crop this before that wall. Nobody would leave that corner in there. And I believe that they released the the uncropped photo. And as you can see, the wall line is not straight. Well, all of the photos are. Some of you may not care, but again, a lot of people sat and actually looked at this and it bothered the heck out of them, and they were like, why? That is also why Carter's shoes are this normal size, and they almost look giant, but they actually look about the same size as JB's here. Meanwhile, she literally looks like, he's got his hand up there. So that's my theory on it anyways. Again, I think that it was corrected in Photoshop and the middle of it got compressed while the outside got extended. All right. What do you think, though? If you have a different theory, put it in the chat. Definitely want to say thank you to Truth Twins, Maui Racing Realtors, Serenity PA, Bear Claws, Saul to Paul, and then Growing with Wally. Thank you for being the last one out last show. And, of course, Alex G, Retta Zeta Orbis. I appreciate your support of the show over on YouTube. And then let's see here. We've got a few other people that just popped in and subscribed. Thank you, Kim Harrelson, Judy Ann Needens. We've got Turth Seeker. Thank you for joining on Patreon. And then again, thank you for that as well. Gone Girl says, oh, can't get lemons on D-Life. Meh, that's okay. Gone Girl, I don't know what the deal is. My wife has been having issues as well. I'll try to talk to them about that. I don't know why so many people are having issues. Maybe they're doing an update. Thank you, Gone Girl, for supporting independent. We are truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. You guys are our backbones, and we really do appreciate you. Thank you, Gone Girl. San C says, help save our farms. Daniel Lazarus says, maybe the red country can help aim their returning debris. Oops. And then thank you for the super sticker, Truth Fairy Articles. Wait for it. And then Robert Tauterus, love to catch you live. Usually listen next day. Hey, Robert and everybody else that listens the next day, I really do appreciate you and thank you so much. And then the phones are open, 2244-00-MARF if you want to call in. Again, that's 2244-006273. If you do want to help support us in another way, we've got to mention our sponsor real quick. Again, EMP Shield is one of the only and few items that is actually used by DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSA team helping protect the Texas grid to help protect against EMPs and CMEs. Of course, this can actually protect against all three man-made versions of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3, and it can even protect your house, your generator, your solar system, whichever device you end up getting, against lightning. You can go to marfooglenews.com/EMP to get one, or you can just go check them out. Of course, it's a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made. Again, if you get the car model, you can actually get somewhere after an EMP. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, thank you. Part of that goes to support us, and you get $50 off per device. And then, Dex, just let me know if we have a caller. I'm going to pop open screener here, and it does look like the phones are ringing. We have Diana, a first-time caller. Let's see here. If you want to get on Diana, and then I'll probably go into this next article here, and then after that. and it looks like he's getting her on right now. So Diana, I'm going to have you sit on hold there for a second. Thank you, Sailing Dogs. I love Dachshunds. And, of course, we have Susie P. says pray for all the Fooglers. So here, I want to go into this high likelihood of conflict with China. Top Australian general warns in leaked briefing to troops. Again, this wasn't a public thing. This was leaked. It looks like we do have Diana on, so we'll go into this right after the call. Diana, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Hey, Adam. It's Gentle Moss.
Hey, Gentle Moss. It's nice to hear you.
How are you?
Is this really your first time call, or did we mismark that?
Nope, it's the first time I've called. I've sent things to you, but not called.
I feel like we've talked. Maybe that's why. But you've also been here a long time in the chat. So what's going on, Gentle Moss or Diana?
A lot of people are afraid and they're fearful, and I've learned over the years that in order to not be afraid, you have to practice and choose to let the fear not consume you. And so I am going to be ordained next year, so my piece comes from scriptures, and the fam knows that, and we talk about it a lot. So in Isaiah, it says to fear not, because God has redeemed you and called you by your name. He knows you. He takes a personal interest in each and every one of us. And so after a long time, because I'm in my 60s, I've learned to live in peace and to choose to be peaceful. And so I wanted to share with the family that in the scriptures, it says over 365 times to fear not or not be afraid. So there's a lot that we can take from that.
So wait, one
also,
for every day.
The other thing that really helps is it says, and this too shall pass. So I did write a poem, and I did send it to Dex, and he's going to put it up on the website that I was going to read to you, and it's talking about the Savior being the shepherd and my journey through fear. So it's called No Longer Much Afraid.
Well, if it's short enough, you can read it, of course. And then I don't have access to it, so I can't pull it up. But I'm sure we'll get it on the website.
Sure. So it says, my shepherd took me by the hand and sat me at his feet. If you will but trust me, your journey you'll complete. He led me to a path I would not choose to go. My journey to the precipice, so far from here below. Walking through the valley of shadow, shrouded in doubts and fears. Suffering and sorrow were my companions, my strength amidst my tears. Along the sea of loneliness, amid the roaring waves, I learned a new song. It's called The Sacrifice of Praise. Plodding through the desert, tired, thirsty, in need of rest, my heart opened to his spirit, and I am truly blessed. High on the path, I'm caught between bitterness and pride. I found my face slipping, falling by the wayside. Rain, fog, thunder, clashing, whipping wind through the trees, I have nothing left but to humbly fall upon my knees. From this place I raised my head, no longer much afraid, for suffering and sorrow have become joy and peace. One day the shepherd will take my hand, my journey I'll complete, for I will be his shepherdess, and in his presence his glory and his grace. So long years of practicing and learning not to hate and be prideful and offended.
Well, don't you wish that everybody could have just a tad of that right now?
Amen. But it takes practice. You know, you have to choose. People have to choose to be happy, and people have to choose to not be afraid. And you have to take little steps.
Well,
so that would be my advice. Take little steps.
Can I say something about just something that recently happened? There was a weatherman who just recently, I believe it was in January or February, did a very, very common. Now they've actually found, after the fact, they found out that this is a very common logistical mistake when you are saying Martin Luther King. The Martin Luth, and King, the K, he accidentally said the COON word, Martin Luther, that, and he said it in a weather thing, right? And you might laugh because it's just it's a mistake. And it was something that now many weather people, news people, because once a year there are thousands of weather people that say, hey, today it's this day, have made that same mistake. But guess what? The mayor of the town actually called on him, and the president of the city council called on him for him to be fired. And this is a family man, somebody who takes care of others. The more and more people find out about him, it's like the guy goes out of his way to help other people, just genuinely the nicest person ever. Him and his wife did a video basically saying, I made a mistake. Doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter that he didn't intend to, that it was a slip of the tongue, that it was tongue-tied. They called on him to be fired because of accidentally saying it wrong. More people should be standing up to this and everything else in this cancel culture world and say, we're all human beings, we make mistakes, but especially on that. It's not like we're Papa John, Papa John's, he said the N-word fully. He could have just said the N-word. He can have his excuse, and again, they looked at him and he was quoting somebody else, but he could have quoted somebody else without using it, right? This gentleman genuinely made a common linguistic mistake. In fact, linguistic experts from Harvard said that this is a common thing to accidentally mess up. And you get on there and people, it's cancel culture, but it's also the fact that nobody is standing up and saying, that person should not be canceled. That is a good man who still deserves to have a job. And now he's basically, we're afraid to say blacklisted from the entire industry now because of one mistake. He does news every day, 365, a quick blah, 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 blah. You talk all the time. How many newscasters have made mistakes? But what I think is that I pulled from you is that we need to stand up and not, we also need to not be offended, and we also need to stand up for the people and tell people that are getting offended, why are you getting offended?
Right. Our country was built on that.
But again, what we were built on is no longer important. Well, Jenna Moss, is there one more thing you want to say before you go? It was a beautiful poem, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank the fam because we support each other, and don't be afraid. Come to somebody and stand up. And, freedom has a price, and we need to stand up for one another.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That was Diana, a.k.a. Gentle Moss. If you are a writer like her, if you have a poem, or if you have a piece of artwork or a graphic design that you want to show the rest of the Foogle fam and it has some sort of relevance to the show, please call in and show us. Again, the number is 224-400-MARF. It looks like we have our phone lines are off the hook right now. Dex just put a note in that we are getting a lot of calls. So again, we'll try to get in as many as we can. But here, I want to go into this, though, because this is a big deal. This is a leaked document. This is not a public kind of like, I think we're going to conflict. This was a briefing to his troops. We've been saying this for a long time, and people keep saying, warmonger this and fear-mongering that. We are not, there's no more, we could do a show we could do an entire show about, the bees and the Carters and the dollhouse picture, and it does the same. There's no motivation for us to scare you. In fact, my motivation is to get you out of this fear thing. We need to all, like she said, get used to this and practice not being afraid and actually get prepared. Because guess what? When Navy SEALs go into a super crazy scenario, well, they're not scared. Why? Because they've already trained for it so many times, it's second nature. And if you do train for these things, you will have this to be second nature. It will be something that you actually have in your muscle memory. Just like that, we need to have muscle memory for everything else. And then this says, a top Australian general warned there is a high likelihood of a conflict with China. And he used the W word. And it says, a leaked briefing to troops has revealed Major General Adam Finlay, who has since stepped down from his post but still advises the Australian Defence Force, reportedly gave the confidential briefing to Australia's Special Forces soldiers last year. It says, according to the reports from the Sydney Morning Herald, General Finlay said that China was already engaged in gray zone warfare. If you have not gone over to Marfoogle News and saw the video that we clipped from the last show, we covered this specifically, and this is something I've been saying for 3 years, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. This is because we have great sources. We have great people in the Foogle fam, and we have great military that are already kind of in the know of what's going on. And we knew this. They're engaging in the weirdest kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, I wanted to tweet it out. Top officials saying the next conflict will be completely different from any other conflict we've ever been in. How many times have you heard me say the next conflict will be bonkers? It's not going to be like anything you've ever seen. And that's exactly what they're saying. It's not a pat on the back. It's not saying we're right. And also we need to make sure that new people coming here, we do have a fun time and we goof around and everything else. But at the bottom line of this channel, and it has always been, is that I've always this was meant to tell my family members about stuff. This channel was started to tell my family members about Cascadia Subduction Zone. I made it. Originally, I made a PowerPoint in front of a TV. If you look, I'm just like going, Cascadia Subduction Zone could be a 5-minute earthquake, and I go down the PowerPoints, and I physically made it for my family members so I could send a link through Facebook back when I actually did Facebook, and I sent it to all my family members so they would get alert about it. Nobody knew what it was when I started. In fact, I've done so many videos. Now people are finally know what it is, and if they don't know Cascadia Subduction Zone, they know the big one, the big earthquake. A lot of people don't even know what it's called still. That's crazy to me. But again, my point is that this is something that everybody that's new here needs to know, that we have been on top of this, and I hope people are freaking listening. We use backed up stuff to try to get to our point. There is so many writings on the wall that it has all come together. That's why we archive every show. That's why you can look back and you say, oh, well, this event happened. Well, 3 months before that, look what happened before that. Look what happened before that. Look what happened with the 2 ships, the tit for tats, the burning amphibious carriers in port, both in China and in the U.S. 2 of the same sort of military ships just burned for 5 days with no accelerant, and nobody knows how they burnt for so long. It doesn't make any sense, right? That is an act of conflict, and it's happening all the time. Solar winds, that is another one. And they're pointing this way. Well, they're saying, hey, look at this hand. Well, this hand is slapping you in the back of the head. Dex, and by the way, for the next 4 articles, if you want to chime in, I know that this is something that's close to you. You've been with me, and we've talked to several military in our group, and they're all saying the same thing. We've already started. This is already kicked off, but you can't recognize it because part of it is that information has been affected in every single way. Every single way. G7 moles a message to China. The West ain't over just yet. Talking about the summit. Says G7 discusses China in morning, Russia in afternoon. West seeks broader alliance to counter China. Blinken says we're not trying to hold China down. Raab says we want broad alliance of democracies recast with comment. It says the group of 7 rich democracies will on Tuesday discuss ways of countering challenges from China and Russia without trying to contain Beijing or escalate tension with the Kremlin, 2 of its top diplomats said. Founded in 1975 as a forum for the West's richest nations to discuss crises such as OPEC oil embargo, the G7 is debating responses to the two vast and increasingly assertive countries, as well as the CV and climate change. It says, quote, "It is not our purpose to try to contain China or to hold China down," U.S. President J.B. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken told reporters on Monday ahead of the first in-person G7 foreign ministers meeting since 2019. It says he said that the West would defend the international rules-based order from subversive attempts by any country, including China. China is the focus of discussions on Tuesday morning, while afternoon talks will turn to Russia, including how to respond to a troop maneuver on the border with Ukraine and the imprisonment of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny. It says China's spectacular economic and military rise over the past 40 years is seen by diplomats and investors as the most significant geopolitical events in recent times, alongside the 1991 fall of the Soviet Union, which ended the Cold Conflict. It says the G7 combined still packs a powerful punch. It has about a $40 trillion in economic clout and 3 of the world's 5 official nuclear powers. Russia was included in what became the G8 in 1997, but was suspended in 2014 after annexing Crimea from Ukraine. You remember? It used to be called the G8 summit. Britain will seek to agree decisive action from G7 partners to protect democracies at a time when China's economic influence and Russia's malign activity threaten to undermine them. The UK's presidency of the G7 is an opportunity to bring together open, democratic societies and demonstrate unity at a time when it is much needed to tackle shared challenges and rising threats. That was, of course, British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab. It says, longer term, there are deep concerns in both Washington and European capitals on how the West should act towards Beijing, Moscow, and both argue that Western criticism is unjustified and counterproductive. Mind you, go ahead.
You know, why I ask, why is this being set and framed up like this? I mean, on one hand, you know, it's sort of, it's the obvious. But then on the other hand, we've got, you know, all the allies are now starting to come together to build a front, right? And the more they do that, the more you're setting the stage for, you know, the conflict, right? Or the big tension between, you know, one side versus the other, right? As opposed to, we just, you know, 6 months ago, a little while back ago, we had EU trying to work nice with China and try to do some trade deals and other things like that. And now it's really coming up to, let's start to build up the walls between the two. So is it stage setting? Is it just a reaction to what's happening and what China's doing? So this is the natural reaction, or is it stage setting?
I think that that we won't even know when it actually kicks off, and that's exactly what that West Point paper said. That's what that report said. That's what, of course, these people are saying, that it's just going to happen. We're in the gray zone right now, so many people do not even know that we are at conflict, and that's a big thing to say, because we get harsh criticism for saying that we believe anything. But at this point, I don't care. And you know what else? I was just on the phone with another large YouTuber, somebody you probably follow, and somebody that is always telling people not to fear, to have faith, and just to keep going with it. Over 100,000 subscribers, over 100,000. The guy is very well known. He called and basically said, you know, I don't know what to do. At this point, I really just need to start telling people I really do believe this is about to go down. And I'm sure in the next couple weeks, he's going to come out publicly and say the same thing. And this person stood next to the president. This person knows a ton of people, on the in. So at some point, people are going to come around. I say it's dumb to tell people, at least to tell them that it's all good. it's not dumb. I should rephrase that. It's more like it's putting off the inevitable. Cosmic Dragon says, "Hey, Foogle fam, bummed in saying this late, but happy birthday, Marv." Oh, don't worry, and thank you for the super late happy birthday. That's like a week. But the fact that you said it a week later is just absolutely the most amazing thing ever. I hope it was full of love and happiness. I freaking love this channel. Chaz Bammy Mataz. 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 Evening, fam. Thank you, Adam and Dex Mods, for all you do. Shout out to DM Walken and all of our truckers. Stay safe out there, says Liz LaMarche. Gone Girl PRS. You don't have to do that. Adam's LOL. I'm not scared to die. I panic worrying about souls. I see something disturbing and panic worrying about all who won't make it if they don't change. I love you all, but nope, not scared of death, scared of souls going south. Gone Girl, it's especially hard when you know that family and people that you love, you know, are just completely asleep or are just so brainwashed. I have close family that I cannot believe, and they probably think the same about me, and they are just completely brainwashed into this just, I cannot believe certain people say, "Oh, don't talk badly about this person. He's a good man." And I'm looking at the man and I'm going, that many years in politics, nobody is a good man. The previous president, none of the presidents are, hashtag good man. Most all of them got there for a reason. Mike Honcho, C19 is going to bring in the great reset to the digital economy. XRP is partnered with the economic forum for a reason. NWO, Endgame with XRP Dyer. So I'm probably going to talk about that. Benjamin Becker. What? I'm not going to say. That is actually, you're trying to get me canceled. What do, horses eat? Hey. Love all y'all. God bless and Dex. Jesus Christ is King. Benjamin, I like the second part of your message. The first part, yeah. I told that joke probably when I was 5th grade or something, and I told it way too much. China tensions spill over as Europe moves towards Biden's side. It says here that a major investment deal reached in December between the European Union and China after 7 years of painful negotiations may end up being the high water mark for ties that are quickly deteriorating again. Since then, the EU's executive branch and Germany have each formulated legislation which would make life harder for Chinese entities to invest while joining the U.S. in swapping tit-for-tat sanctions with Beijing. I like how they use tit for tat. Finally, somebody else is using it. We've shown you that there are so many tit for tats that go on that people get used to it. People actually don't, it doesn't even absorb anymore, that people are just like, oh, this is another tit for tat. At some point, it's going to be the last tat or the last tit. Italy's government has turned from an enthusiastic backer of President Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative to blocking planned acquisitions by Chinese companies. And in France, China's ambassadors didn't even show up when summoned in March, citing agenda reasons. Oh, isn't that funny? On a side note, Dex, I don't think we put it in here. Did you put it in the web-only content? There was a Swiss diplomat. Where were they? Were they in China or were they in Russia? Do you know what I'm talking about? Fell from a very high building, mysteriously.
No, I did not hear that.
Will you look
Missed
it up?
That one.
Can we pull that up? This is either yesterday or today or 2 days ago. A Swiss diplomat who had U.S. interests in their best interest, who was an ambassador, just fell magically from a super high rise, of course, to their untimely death. It was a woman. There's things like that just kind of, pull up the rug and then just keep moving. It says, taken together, the moves signal a hardening of the European stance on Beijing, and the biggest shift could be yet to come, with polls showing that the German Greens Party on course for a significant role in government after September's election, raising the prospect of more China-skeptic chill from Europe's biggest economy. Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang last week, and the two pledged closer cooperation on and fighting climate change. It says, yet the talk in Berlin is that optimism around the relationship is gone, and one Chinese official characterized ties with Europe as a downward trajectory, whether the Greens come to power in Germany or not. EU-China relations are at a critical juncture, said the official, asking not to be identified, speaking out about strategic matters. The multiple signs of strain suggest Europe's biggest players are moving closer to the views of President JB's administration and its standoff with China, which is so funny because I personally think that this guy is totally in with this. So what is the angle here? Setting up for a failed conflict? I always mention the Red Dawn scenario, right? The newer movie, not the older one. Specifically, if you have seen that movie, if you haven't, definitely go see it because it's very realistic in a way because it was shot in a neighborhood that I used to ride my bike in Wallingford, and it shows jets and planes flying over and men basically parachuting in. These men are Asian and Russian, and they're all dropping in, and Korean, I believe. And they're all dropping in, and basically tanks are dropping in, ATVs are dropping in, and they're taking everybody at point, right? Well, some of the main characters are trying to escape it. One of the main characters, a teenager, their dad is like the mayor or governor. Well, there's a scene where they drive up, and they're like, let's go. And he's like, oh, no, I know what's going on. And then the Chinese or Korean soldier is standing there next to him, like they already knew what was going on. And he's like, no, we're safe. I have a position with the new setup. Basically, he set up and helped them come in for the agreement that he would be safe and that he would have a position in this new order. I want you to think about that scene really hard. State Anthony Blinken holds talks in London this week and with his group of 7 counterparts. A Europe more aligned with Washington would signal some repair to the damage done to transatlantic ties by the T-Man admin, with implications for trade, tariffs, and access to technology. It says there's been a mood shift, said Warwick Wood, Beijing's based president of the European Chamber of Commerce. So it also says he cited the perfect storm of China's assertiveness towards Taiwan, its move to impose political control over Hong Kong, and international sanctions over alleged human rights abuses in Xinjiang region, overlaid by the fact that China hasn't followed through on its promises of opening up economically. So it's basically set up. It's set up financially. It's set up every other way that everything could go extremely south or things could go back to the new normal, I guess. Pretty crazy. Xi claims ultimate authority adopts Mao's title of helmsman. These are not the kind of things you've... Over the last year and a half, 2 years, they have been getting very cocky, but in a way that's like scary. Chinese President and General Secretary Xi Jinping continues to consolidate power and has reached new status, adopting the title helmsman. Like he's driving the boat now. A descriptor not used since Mao Zedong and denoting ultimate authority, according to U.S. intelligence officials. It says Army Lieutenant General D. Barrier, Director of Defense Intelligence Agency, said Mr. Xi's increased power will fuel the Chinese military's drive to create forces more powerful than those of the United States in the coming years. I think Xi is firmly in control of the party, of the military, and every aspect of the Chinese society, General Barrier told the Senate Armed Services Committee in testimony late last week. Imagine that guy's Secret Service. Dex, do you think Xi Jinping is protected better than U.S. presidents? I would think so.
Oh, yeah. I'm 100% certain he is very well protected.
I would not want to be his taste tester, his food taster. Or I guess there's probably been many of those over the years, but we'll never hear about them.
Well, it's just as bad to speak out bad about him on a blog in that country as it is to be his taste tester, right?
Yep, that's true. I don't think people realize that this is being set up for the ultimate. We're in the gray zone, and then it's going to go right into. And everybody's going to be super confused because guess what? If you can somehow, even if it's hacked, if you can control what people are seeing on the news, they could be rolling down your street, and you will see a story saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's a parade," and you'll believe it, or it'll send an alert on your phone saying, Don't be alarmed. It's just a parade. We're now working with the Chinese government, and they're just moving some stuff through your neighborhood. Think about it. If you can hack in and control all of the media, that is a possibility that could happen. And if they break down infrastructure to the point where, they can go override some of our communications, which is possibly what they said could have happened with solar winds. Pretty insane stuff. Let's see here. Dex, do you have anything to say about, of course, any of the comments that have been said? We have so many leaders basically saying that we are right now in the beginning of WW3. I don't see how people can deny
I have no idea where this is going to go. Like, my mind swings from, like you said, the Red Dawn movie to, this is just a front that will make our administration look like they're doing something to combat this, and then we'll have some sort of big proxy event to satisfy our industrial complex, right? Like those are two different ends of the spectrums, but both involve our people, both involve and have effects upon the people of the world and the people in our own country and the other countries. So, it doesn't seem like a good outcome, but the writing's on the wall. There is something moving forward, and I just don't know how involved it's going to be. And that's probably the most scariest part of this is, the unknown part.
Well, and think about the current event that the entire world's going through, where it possibly came from, and everything that's changed in the entire world. Think about during that happening, of course, right at the beginning of that was when we were switching over and when they did the VOTE and all of that. Closed down the windows, shut them out. Wouldn't let anybody watch. Oh, you don't need to watch this. We're good. We're taking your country. Panel.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
And the fundamentals behind, the party, the type of party that's in China. I don't want to say the whole CC, but you know what I mean. The fundamentals of that versus a democracy, right? Versus a republic. Versus freedom, right? There's just a big fundamental difference there. That's more different than, the conflicts that we have internally here with our own politics, right? So that's a big thing. And, we've struggled with it as our nation and growing up. I know as a kid, we did it with, USSR and others, and we spent a lot of money and time and plenty of lives in Vietnam over, the pushing back against that philosophy. So it's definitely rearing its head towards freedom, and that's a scary thought.
Well, hopefully people start waking up. That's the first step, is people waking up and seeing it. Because I don't think people are witnessing it, and a lot of people are distracted by whatever the daily thing is. Whatever the news tells you to be concerned or offended by that day. People, think about how much time, if you're at work, say, what people talk about at the cooler, right? They're talked about a show. They're talked about what the current controversy is, because people aren't deeper than that. Most people are just trying to fit in. Most people are trying to get the approval of everyone around them. And a lot of people want everyone's approval. It's in our human nature to want to be liked, right? But also it's in our nature to want to keep their job, to want to have job security. And right now, there is no job security if you go anywhere near half of the subjects. So it's divided into people that just absolutely, it's not even this versus that. It's more divided into people that are not afraid to speak out and people that are. And I guess 3 factions, and then people that believe the BS. And the people that are just making up just crazy stuff.
And I got that Swiss article for you if you want it, and I put it on the website for everyone else.
Okay, and then let's get the next caller on. Just real quick, we're going to touch this. Russian Navy is expanding presence in the Mediterranean. See, that will be a quick, that's the whole thing, right? But we'll touch on that here in a second. I do want to ask, though, if you do want to protect yourself against cyber threats, make sure to go check out Nordvpn. They're one of the highest rated virtual private networks out there. Of course, again, it is very lucky to have those guys. Again, it is one of the easiest virtual private network. It is a virtual private network essentially protects your IP address. It hides it, and it can actually put it somewhere else. So you can get regionally locked content, but you will also be protecting yourself against cyber threats. So say if you wanted to put yourself in France to get Netflix French documentaries, you can do so. But on top of that, you can get information that you cannot get wherever you are. Here in the U.S., there's several blocked sites that the U.S. will not let us see. When you put yourself in whatever country they are not blocked in, it will let you see that. If you're watching from one of the other countries, say Australia, there are certain sites that are blocked in Australia. You can access those when you switch your IP to a U.S. IP address. Not only that, this can help protect your kids. If you put this on, you can put it on cell phones, you can put it on laptops, tablets. Again, one price actually gets 6 devices covered. So simultaneous use of 6 ones. It's not like Netflix, if 3 are on it, boots off the other 2. It protects up to 6 devices at the same time. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Ads like this and your purchase help our channel. Again, we don't have backing. We don't have people just handing us money. Again, that does not come from you guys. So you guys are our backbone. You are our support. YouTube does not do a good job. They demonetize us, or they put us in the bracket to where we make almost nothing. So we do appreciate it. People complain about the ads, but again, we want to make sure that we are selling a product that is amazing, that's going to help you, or it's going to help save your life. And that's the bottom line. People are going to have to wake up, even truthers or religious, whatever it may be. We have to make a living too. Dex is a human being. I'm a human being. We both have families. So we appreciate everybody that understands that. And we also appreciate the people that have come back around after understanding that, yeah, out of a 3-hour show, we do about under 10 minutes of ads. Think about a 3-hour show on TV. You're bombarded by an hour of ads. So thank you so much for understanding that we want to expand. And we want to have it to bigger. If we get bigger, we're going to be dealing with a whole lot more trouble. We already need lawyers for certain things. It's like, how are you going to pay for that on 45-cent ads? Thank you again. All right, and then let's get our next caller. I'll pull up this article. This is exactly what I was talking about. Oh, and what if we get taken down? We're going to have to get some big league person to get us on. Steph, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey. Hey there.
You are live. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
How are you doing, Steph?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
we
doing
can.
fine. I'm here in Tampa, Florida. Is there a delay?
Yes, I bet there is. So just don't worry. Just keep going and talk there.
Okay, is that a little better?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see. We could get a 2 cans and a string, and I'm only in Seattle. You're in Florida.
Yeah, opposite ends of the earth, almost.
But the good thing is everybody can hear you fine. So just go ahead with your message here.
Okay. My big deal was the Gil Bates situation. I just find it to be a convenient distraction. Just curious what your thoughts are.
What's funny enough, I have the article loaded up next. We're going to talk about the Bill and Melinda divorce, and of course how it's going to open things up. I think it's super weird. Why now out of all this time? And I guess they don't really put this image out of being like a perfect couple or anything, but their foundation does. Like they're heroes, right? Everybody makes them out to be like this absolutely amazing. What is really going on here? Why do people get divorced? Did somebody cheat? Was somebody seeing somebody else? After the whole kind of EpiPen stuff that went down with Maxwell and all of that stuff that happened, and that he was pictured right there. Did that start off a chain of events that just about a year later, now they're splitting? Is there stuff going to come out? Is there more stuff that's going to pop out? Why all the farmland? Why all of this stuff that's going on right now? And was it something super recent? Because he bought all this farmland, a lot of it just recently. So it's, if he knew they were going to get a divorce, you would think he would wait. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think it's all crap. I think it's just to kind of throw everybody off from paying attention to what's really going on. Something to just get everybody thinking about something else. I know. I kind of saw the article. I guess he was seeing his ex-girlfriend or a girlfriend. Again, I just find it highly suspicious that they would do this now with everybody angered and the tension. So
I would say allegedly on all of that, because there's going to be all sorts of fake news that revolves around this. There's going to be, these sites that just make up these insane headlines, and then people share it like wildfire through Facebook and stuff like that. That's why we want to make sure that we back up everything that we are doing, and also look at like common sense stuff. Like, did Hillary get taken out at Guantanamo? Probably not. People do these things and then they don't have anything to back it up. And then it's shared like wildfire. Right. Well, I don't know what to say, Steph. As far as my opinion on it is that I think that something is coming, and this is just more signs that there's turmoil behind all of these bright smiles.
Definitely. Just hoping everybody wakes up and pays attention to what's going on, aside from listening to a lot of this stuff that would be happening, and worry about what's coming.
Well, again, Steph, I agree with you there. And another one thing I want to point out is, in my gut, I feel like maybe she does have a conscience. Like, there's just a 5% of me that thinks, what if she has a conscience of what he's been doing and couldn't live with it? Like, it started off problems and they just wanted to get away from each other. Other than, like, say, an ex-girlfriend or something like that. I don't know. That would be a pretty big scandal for somebody who's supposedly this big hero that's involved in, changing climate, changing our bodies, changing farmland, everything. And he's basically, everybody's looking up at him. This is really bad timing. They are such a power couple that you would think that even if they were going to get divorced, they would just do it somehow silently, or they would wait.
Quiet.
Yeah, they wouldn't do this publicly.
Definitely.
Unless somebody's really pissed off.
That's why I think it's strange. Yeah.
Well,
I figured it would be something kept quiet.
Exactly. Why is it being put right at the forefront, and why did he put it out on Twitter of all places? It's not
That's
April 1st.
Strange.
Well, thank you, Steph, for calling in. And again, I appreciate your call, and don't be a stranger, okay?
Definitely. I love you guys. Thank you.
Well, we love you too. All right, you have a great night. Bye, Steph, and thanks for fixing that delay.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. That was Steph, and then this is the article, and I'll go into this real quick, but I do want to touch on what I was talking about. Swiss diplomat in I country. Okay, I thought it was found perished after a fall from a high-rise. She was in I, ran to the store, and she was in a high-rise building where she lived in the north of the city. A spokesman for emergency services was quoted by saying by the news agencies there, it says the Swiss Foreign Ministry, the FDFA, said an employee at its embassy had died of an accident without identifying the victim. It says the FDFA and its head, federal counselor Ignatius Cassius, are shocked by the tragic death and express their deepest condolences to the family. It did say that Switzerland has represented U.S. diplomatic interest in Iran since Washington and Tehran cut ties shortly after the 1979 revolution. So she was directly there, and she was representing U.S. interests, and she just magically falls off. Nobody talks about this. Nobody covered this, really. The Guardian put it out, but nobody talked about it. And not one of the main, Fox or CNN, did either one of them touch on that? Maybe they did. I don't know. I will tell you this. They have 24-hour coverage. This was probably 5 minutes. It wasn't repeated in their, cycle that they just do the same thing over and over and over again. And then, by the way, just real quick, Russian Navy expanding presence in Mediterranean Sea. We know this. There's also a specialist for Russia and Eurasia at the National Intelligence Council said that since 2013, Putin has placed more emphasis on its naval presence. First in Somalia, where it has a base, and working on a close deal on establishing naval logistics base facility in Sudan. So, again, you can read the rest of that at marfooglenews.com. This here, though, it says Microsoft co-founder Gates Billy and wife could break up his relatively unknown standing as the biggest owner of farmland in America. Well, he made $130 billion fortune through tech. He also owns nearly 270,000 acres, or over 400 square miles of land across mere dozens of states, according to a January investigation by the Land Report of the largely hidden investments. These are all secretive, hidden investments. It says the vast majority in farmland, at least 50,000 acres or more, that the family, the next largest holdings, the outlet said. Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, has an alter ego. Former Bill, the guy who owns more farmland than anyone else in America. It says the land is likely to be part of the divorce deal for the couple who admitted filings that they did not have a prenuptial agreement for the 27-year marriage. She is going to be making The extensive farmland portfolio was managed by Michael Larson, who also looked after the Gates, keeping up with the Gates' personal portfolio and the portfolio for Built Foundation for at least 25 years. So they got married, and 2 years in, they started this foundation. Can you see there's just this fell in love, and then they were trying to be heroes. They're like, let's go to Africa, let's go here, let's save the poor people. And now they're done. Something is up. What are we at the precipice of? New 6G chip could download Netflix film in less than a blink of an eye. The new microchip that is claimed that will give drones and self-driving cars access to G and beyond mobile internet has been developed. The next-gen chip can transmit data more than 30 times faster than the most advanced 5 internet today. They believe its connection is so fast it could download a Netflix film in less than blink of an eye at an incredible 1,000 gigabits per second. And experts say that it could allow robots to connect to AI supercomputers via 6 and perform tasks only seen in science fiction so far. Professor Tadao Nagatsahuma and Osaka University said that the new multiplexer can be mass-produced just like computer chips, but much simpler, so large-scale market penetration is possible. So back to yesterday's show when we were talking about how they have now trained everybody to get used to this self-service thing. You are cutting out cashiers out of almost every store now because of this event, but you're also getting trained to do self-service. What I don't get is that they're actually moving and taking out the regular check stands. Remember in the beginning when we thought, do you remember when we thought this was going to be 3 weeks? Dex, do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's almost been 2 years. And let me ask you this. Well, and by the way, we're here in Washington, we're rolling back into phases. So they're going to reduce it again because of, I believe, what's going on in India, which, again, really weird stuff. Lots of pictures are being duplicated and found other places. Just saying. But anyways, so it's swirling back, and they're rolling us back into lockdowns and reducing capacities and all of this. Even though more people have gotten the V, I don't get it.
It very much puts a very large portion of our population in a couple of weird positions. One being more dependent on the government, which we see in evidence everywhere across America right now. Nobody can hire. They can't find people for the basic, simplest jobs, right? McDonald's is paying $50 for people just to show up for an interview and giving $500 signing bonuses. And then the other thing it's doing is it's creating this this lowest, at least in America, we've seen the stats come out saying, hey, there was no baby boom. As a matter of fact, we're on the lowest decline since before the 30s on population. So, looking at those two things and those two setups is very significant as how they're framing or the outcome of this is being set up in a way that will position a big dichotomy between the upper and lower classes. And also, when you think about the jobs being eliminated, well, there's also the population that's being reduced from various different reasons. So how does that play in? And is that an effect or is that a plan?
Well, and a lot of these places are getting rid of permanently their actual checkouts. They're like, hey, this works really well. We'll just do self-checkouts for the whole grocery store. These are grocery stores that have groceries, so you have a full cart. You sit there and you end up doing the entire thing yourself. They've even made new scan and goes. That I'm sure would be great in addition to everything else. But where you're even doing the treadmill yourself, you're pushing the button to get the stuff to come. I'm like, we're doing their job, and we're doing it ourselves. But I'm totally capable of doing it, and I don't care. That's fine. I'm not lazy. But it's taking a job away from that other person, and people have to be out loud. Why are we not all collectively saying, we're not shopping at Walmart, we're not shopping at Target, we're not shopping here unless you bring back people? People need to be like organizing and saying, we're not going. And guess what? People are going to do it. You're going to do it because you need to get your stuff, right? Why is all of these boycotts on somebody if they accidentally say the wrong word, but why is there not boycotts on the companies that are destroying us? Why is anybody still, why isn't there a day where everybody gets together and says, hey, we want Facebook or all these things to change? If you don't use their service, they lose all of their power and they change immediately. We have the power, we the people, and nobody gets that because there's no leaders. All the leaders are silenced and stifled. And then you start to realize why people are getting whoosh, because they gain influence and they gain power. It's very sad stuff. Stephen McMahon, thank you so much for your support. Daniel Lazarus, thank you. Total Vagabond says crazy times from Europe. Thank you so much. So many crazy things going on at once. JR, thank you for your support. Carol Stradola says keep up the good work. Daniel Lazarus says literally only 5 minutes to set up DLive. Let's see here. My second platform ever. I'm not very tech savvy. Daniel Lazarus, great point. Bug Out Channel, Adam and Dex, keep up the great work. Bug Out Channel, thank you so much, and hope you're doing well and creating. Open Truth Ministry says, just need to say Jesus is Lord. Let's see here. Jab is dangerously close to the mark. Living in fear is not living in faith. Do not kneel to Nebuchadnezzar. Happy Hippie Crochet, thank you so much for your message there. It says, beanies for the homeless project. Hey, awesome. Nice to see. I'm glad you guys are still doing it. Nice guy 7 times. If you guys haven't checked out, look up Beanies for Homeless Project. Nice guy 7 times. We've got Linda Robertson. Thank you for all you do. God bless. And then, of course, again, thank you, Stephen and Mike Honcho. All right. Dex.
Did you see the jet?
No. Oh, my gosh.
You can see it in Screener if it doesn't show on your screen.
I am so sorry. Did I miss one? Earth Observer. The answer is Taurus Tech. Earth Observer and Gone Girl, thank you both for going above and beyond tonight. Thank you. And I am sorry I missed that. I know that, obviously that's something that's a big deal. So thank you. That is the highest compliment you can bestow on somebody on DLive. So thank you. Jimmy Shively, Mad Love, Let There Be Life. Earth Observer, definitely a shout to a spot there. Thank you. Lisa K23, The Truth Is Out There, says, Gil and Mel are divesting. They stand to make more and have more control that way. That's actually a crazy idea. If they're separate, all of that land then goes up in price, and if one fails or whatever, the other can keep going. Or is there scandals coming where they need her to do that? That's a good point. The Truth Is Out There. Earth Observer, again, thank you. Fat Pig Signals, and we've got ETH to the moon. says Fat Pig Signals. Jem, thank you so much for being here every night. Seriously, Jen Lay Awake, Scooby-Doo Do Right, Mid Mofo, and Mountain Lace. Thank you, everybody. India and Chile, says Lisa K23. You are right. Distraction, says Lisa K. Biden new tax if married higher than separate. Higher than separate. Oh, M mentioning, so maybe to save money. Who knows? I don't know.
Other way around. Cost them more. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, true.
If you're
you're right.
If you're talking about B&M, but, you know, I kind of go back to the whole moral thing, right? Like, we talk about these elites, or we think about these elites and all these things that they do allegedly that we don't think are very, you know, moral or in tune with what our more traditional beliefs are, right? And then I want to turn around and think that, oh, well, because I have a girlfriend, I have to now dissolve this huge power structure that I've got put in place. No, right? That stuff goes on. It's been in these power couples. They've never been like, oh, well, you cheated on me. No, I mean, come on. I'm not saying that that's their case, but we know in a lot of these other big power couples that they have their own things going on the whole time, and they know about it. So something is really going on here. And I really like to I like the caller's idea about a distraction. And I also like, you know, your idea and others about, you know, maybe there is a specific rife, or this is the opportunity to sort of counter what has been going on. And maybe this is going to come out. That's why I think this is either really important or it's a really huge distraction.
Or somehow that if the land is split between two parties, there's some sort of benefit for that. That's actually a good point. I just don't but I could also see them in a year from now. It comes out that there's this huge sex scandal that's about to be released, and she isn't attached on it, but she has all this property, and they can't go after her for the property, so he technically owns it still. Something. Brian Shaw, Angela Harris, Luis Masci, Michael Johnson, Christine Absut, and Eltonia. Thank you for joining Patreon over the last week. I really do appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Again, Michael Johnson, thank you. In fact, I saw quite a few names tonight. 3 names that are like professional ball players. What was the other one I saw? I swear I just saw another NBA name. Okay. Dex, do you have a
yes,
somebody there, able-bodied? Able-bodied, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, good evening, Adam. Good evening, all the Foogle fam. Thank you for having me on again. Today I'm calling in because at the close of Wall Street today, there was a ringing of the bell by a very important company. And this is a Silicon Valley company, and they went public today. And I have information from a 2013 article from The Verge. It'll be posted on your website. And it's a 20-page article. And I've been aware of this company ever since the time that I discovered this article several years ago. This company is owned by Peter Thiel, and the name is Palantir, and that's Palantir Technologies, and that is your real-life Minority Report predictive software. This has also got the same name as Lord of the Rings and the All-Seeing Crystal Ball, where they know where you are at every given moment. So right after Katrina, as you know, crime was very high in New Orleans, and they started this program of predictive policing, they call it, right at that time. And since that time, they've gone and became very, very active as subcontractors with the Department of Defense, Navy, Army, and they continue to go back and get patents year after year because it's like a onion with layers. First, they know where the crime is in what neighborhood. Then they know who lives in the neighborhood. Then they know who's in the neighborhood and who's in jail. Then they know who's getting out of jail. Then they know all your associates, and they actually started arresting and convicting folks in 2013 with the RICO statute by just simply knowing who hangs with who. And through the years, it's even gotten to where they absolutely pretty much are reading people's minds and know just what's about to happen in the pre-crime world. So Minority Report is very, very real. They actually started in Afghanistan predicting where the bombs would be, who would be laying the bombs out. And this has just grown into this monster that now they are saying is the most lucrative company out of the Silicon Valley. So there's your investment tip right there. And it's just every time I go and read a patent that they've last listed, it's just really unbelievable. It's every bit as deep as Minority Report goes. Just that deep. They know every move.
At this point,
and they rang the bell today.
At this point, able-bodied, I think that people need to start looking back at these science fiction movies and going, okay, I need to prepare for this, because almost everything is coming true. I just thought about a couple minutes ago when we were talking about this stuff, the movie Songbird. Look at what is happening right now. Have you seen that yet?
I have not seen it, but I absolutely know all about it. And yes, that's all the same ball of wax. Absolutely.
So just want to remind people, Able-Bodied has been in chat almost every day for 3 years. Able-Bodied called in about 2.5 years ago with her story of Hurricane Katrina. She was a nurse at the time, is a nurse, and at that time was a nurse. She told us about some of the atrocities that would happen, and this was back in, if you remember, there was a lot of people online that were saying it was a good thing to have martial law. There was a certain crowd that had the letter, the 17th letter, right? They were interpreting the message from the anonymous poster as, we want this to happen. We want the swamp, whatever, drain. She called in and said, no, you do not want martial law, period. I mean, able-bodied, you can tell, why wouldn't you want martial law?
Everybody is treated equally as the enemy. Everybody.
So it doesn't matter if you're a nurse or a doctor, you're treated the same.
Well, there is no jail, so if they see you on site, they put you down on site. There was no jail to be brought to. Martial law means you never, ever leave your house. You don't go to the hospital. You don't go get food. You don't leave. It's not a curfew. You do not leave. If you're caught in your front yard, and after that show, plenty of people have sent me messages and emails of just unbelievable murders, is all that I can call it, where people were out in their front yard and shot down because they were getting supplies out of their truck. Just over and over again, killing. And the people that were doing the killing were our U.S. reservists, not National Guard. They did all the rescues. It's the U.S. reservists that's in charge of coming and getting your guns because they're registered. And the police are giving notices every few minutes on the television. If you don't bring them to us, we're coming to get them. And you don't want us to come get them. And we got to see with live local news feeds what happens when they come to your house to get your gun. There won't be any shooting. The whole army is in your yard, on the porch, in the house, and they are immediately, after they take your door down, they're immediately striking anybody and everybody in the house until those guns appear, those registered guns. And that's a psych op because they, filmed everything live. And there were tanks in the yards. there's not going to be a shootout unless you have big bangs. You don't stand a chance. It was no different than any other army coming on anybody's land and taking over. It didn't matter that we were the Americans and they were the Americans too. That held no water whatsoever.
This is exactly why, if you haven't seen, her show is still there. It's a 45-minute call. It goes over how she had to be escorted to work, how there were people on the streets just If you don't remember that, the media could not portray how truly bad that was. Yeah. That was real martial law. That was everybody for themselves. Really horrendous. So thank you so much for calling in, Able-Bodied. Is there anything else you want to say before you go?
Yes, sir. Just that I love everybody and thank you, and I appreciate everybody subbing to me so I can go live if ever the need arises. And I might be able to do some videos in the future, so I'm grateful of that. And I'm grateful for the work you do and the work that Dex does and the mods. And I'm just very appreciative that when we need to get the news, we can get it from you. Thank you so much.
Well, everybody needs to get over to Able-Bodied's channel. Again, she just does all sorts of stuff. She didn't start one for years, and now she's got one. So go over and talk to her, and she is a really amazing woman. She's been in our chat for a long time. I'm super happy that you are getting started and doing stuff on your own, because you are an incredibly smart woman. Thank you so much, Able-Bodied, and thank you for calling in. Again, you went through absolute hell and back. Amazing story. We will link your channel, and Dex, if we can. I don't know if we can link that old show. If you can find it, we can probably search it, but I don't know. Thank you so much, Able-Bodied. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you. God bless. God bless everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, God bless you too. And then, Dex, you want to go over the Too Hot for TV?
Yeah, Adam. So what a call. I love it when she calls. But we got quite a bit on the Too Hot for TV. So don't forget marfooglenews.com. It's so simple. Just click on the thumbnail for this show. Click on the thumbnail for the past shows. Check the past web-only content you missed. So lots of things going on. There's still some stuff going on with what happened back in November all the way through January. That big event, updates there along that. Some other updates that were around CV and what's going on there. That's a very big topic that we don't talk much about or can't talk much about just due to the way the algorithm works. So definitely go check that out. Things happening in Florida and things happening elsewhere. So, yeah.
And then, of course, some of this stuff is, of course, too hot for TV. Some of it is either one direction too far to where we can't cover it without being biased, and we try to keep the show as neutral as possible and as backed up as possible, but also take the time to go over there and look. It's a one-stop shop for everything that's happened today, including all of the crazy stuff. So make sure to check that out. Thank you for supporting people like Tower Bear, Earth Observer. Queen BTP says, this show is one of the best there is. Thank you all for what you do. You rock. Thank you. And again, thank you. Hopefully that will help a fellow family member. God bless you, fam, says Tower Bear. Lisa K23, I appreciate you so much. And says, I heard same story from medic helicopter pilot, says Lisa K23 about assuming with Katrina. It's just insane. Why would people want martial law? That's insanity. You do not want martial law. MRSA 1 is in the house. It is so nice to see you again. Oregon girl. Okay, I thought it's Onagon. One on B, Bear Claws, everybody over there. Priscilla R, Laura Griffith, everybody in the house. Thank you so much for just absolute the best people in the world. Tall drink of water. We've got Wigan 13, Hopkinson, Sherry Zirkle, Darth V, Lynn Gruen, everybody over there. Thank you so much for a great show. Dex, thank you. Appreciate you. Of course.
Much love.
Yeah. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. If you're new here, it's not a shout out, it's not an outro. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you, to a silly beat.
I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. They gon' bring you down. They gon' bring you down. They gon' bring you down. Ready now on the mall with the Mr. Peterson. Got a door, Salawesi, not Sharon Draper. I've got the Sandra her box, so in Brian Shaw, and Angela Harrison, and Louis Marsh. I bring you up. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love. The choices on the earth deserve a question murder. I'm gonna go and swerve you right to the out of the awesome Mabaya. I didn't buy the sea, but your dough and the Jonesy. Now Sarah and the one, Adam 1, 2, and 12, BIBIC. We'll reconcentrate now. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love I was bringing all the way back down. I saw those same people on the corner, they proud. No, the truth is out there made the four be with you. And New York, Detroit, she's gotta see you. A world noise and the moon bet. See you now, I bring it up, and I hope that they don't bring you down. They gon' 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 bring you down. Rap on live, on the sea, on the inverted moon. Go to Rex and the Noy and the Linda Cass. Battle is ours and no one else is. I Sarah Ferguson, I know that we go down on. Do you watch on the crowd or the Susan Yono? I Susan so all of in holiday kisser. I bring it down with the sea, laying on the ground. I see they wonder, oh, being going down. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. I'ma love you. Those beers, I know rest of them no never go. A catnip and a tea, cane and breast of Lord. A Cindy Lord and they bring nitrogen on Mars. I got that damage in 7 got a bars. A berry claws and a tall drink of water towers. A Roman wolf and a sea eking through. A Demon one and a Joe Adams. I bring no battle and no battle is awesome. You, I'ma love you. I'ma love you. Busy bee, gotta see that big tab. I am a wild, got a prayer, got a super prayer. You, I'm a love, I'm a love, I'm a love, love you. I'm a love, I'm a love, I'm a love, love you. I'm a love, I'm a love, I'm a love, love you. I'm a love.